It was a bloodbath. We are now moving into the phase 2 of their resumption of services, which is a euphemism for break the union's back. Anyway, I'll just review a few things. If somebody wants to call up, I'll take a chance and fumble with the phones. And if not, we'll segue into the from the transit strike proper to how our local media covered this event, which caused so much stress, and how it didn't cover it, and what we can do about it. What do we have for local media? What can we create as a local media substitute? All right, I see a phone. I'm going to attempt the impossible and see if I can get them on. Go ahead, caller. I think you're on the air. Maybe not. All right. I know what we need to do. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. I think. Nope. He hung up. I didn't have the pot up, or the right one. But we'll get him next time. Anyway, we may have a little report about 25 after 5 on the GE Free booth down there at A Taste of Lakeport. And I should be hearing some things. All right.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang.
You could tell I don't do this that often. Anyway, going over the transit strike, I mentioned it was a bloodbath. They've replaced a large number of drivers, and they'll be replacing a lot more next week, September 1st. All right, we've got phone 1. Go ahead, caller. I'm almost certain you're on the air.
Well, I'll try. How's that, Dante?
Yes.
Or should I call you number 39?
Number 39, that's me.
Oh, yes, 39, Dante. Oh, well, my dear.
39 out of 39.
Yes, I know. Well, I called the director and said, how come you're doing this union busting stuff? He said, we're not union busting. And I said, what do you call a lockout? We didn't lock anybody up.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're calling this, but, you know, it's a terrible state of affairs. I think we should just kick them out and take over the bus company and run it by and for Lake County.
Well, they are obviously well-trained, and what they have done is they've taken the literal interpretation of the law and are interpreting it the way they want for their advantage.
Where have we heard this before? My goodness. Well, carry on, my dear. I just thought it would be nice to see if you could handle the phone. Anyway, I'm glad you figured it out.
Yeah, it was, I usually get things half right, but, you know, that's usually good enough for school, but out in the real world, reality expects you to get everything right.
Oh, well, you know, like resigning from the union when you're not a member?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's, that's almost not even going to be in my hands anymore because I filed...
Oh, when's your hearing?
Well, I filed a complaint with the National Labor Board.
Oh, good.
And so I don't know how long that's going to take. Maybe a year. You know.
It doesn't matter.
But you know, but at least they've got the muscle to stand up.
Yeah, I know. But the more, hey, a crowd of gnats can do a pretty good job of irritating even a corporation.
Well, I've been to the Lake County Transit Authority, and they have no interest in...
of course not. They have no interest in anything but money. They're a corporation.
And the union needs to start reading things line by line, like paratransit does. I mean,
I know.
They need to, you know, the details are, you know, the devil is in the details, as they say. Now, what I would have done, rather than pretend there's things in the contract that I didn't know if they were in the contract or not, because I didn't go through it line by line,
oh my.
I would have said, here's how things work. If you really wanted to do something for our local residents in spite of whatever's in that contract, a contract which expires in 2 years, I would say that go up to one of you who knows how to do this, and I know one of the reps on the board knows how to do this technique very well. Just say in a calm voice, it would really, really, really make our lives a lot easier if this strike was ended right now without any fallout. Just make our lives a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Now you haven't said anything that would pressure them anyway, but
You're making a statement.
Yeah, you're just saying in a calm way, but those are the words. You use expressions and body language that says a different message, and you know what that message is? Even though you just expressed a hope that things will end, because it'll make your life easier. But what you say with your body language and your expressions is something different. What you say with your body language and expressions when you say this is, that'll later be your last act on Earth. Essentially, what you're saying is that we want this thing to end now. Right. Otherwise, you can take your ill-gotten gains between now and the end of your contract and enjoy them in hell, because you'll never get another dollar out of our poor county. I think that would be excellent. I was wondering, since they think that the buses are being stalked, I don't know how you stalk a bus, but if I see one, if I yell scab, are they going to blame the union? Well, as of this point, 3 of the drivers are not scabs. Because because phase 1 of their replacement strategy, after they've salted the ranks with replacement drivers, they still had 3 slots left to bring the top 3 seniority drivers back on. So well, I think what they came up with that stalking idea was that I'd heard some of the new drivers had accidents. So I think they're trying to claim that the poor buses are being stalked, and that's what's making them have accidents. Well, remember, new drivers are going to have a higher incidence too. To be fair, since I don't know the qualifications of these new drivers, I could say that any additional problems could be explained by the fact that they are new. Yeah, and they probably don't even know their way around the county. Yeah, so most of our any additional problems could be explained by the fact that we have more new drivers. I know. Isn't it wonderful? I don't ride buses. Yes. I wouldn't ride with a scab. Yeah. And I couldn't stand there and say, are you a union person or are you a scab? Anyway, thank you, Dante. It's more complicated now because we have a few non-scabs. I know. Well, maybe they should put a little sign up and saying, I'm not a scab or something in there. And actually, maybe none of them are scabs, because technically... I know, this thing is over. But if you started as a scab, I think you're always a scab, as far as I'm concerned. That's how I feel. Yeah, well, it's definitely a situation where desperate people feel that they have to do desperate things. And, as the economy keeps on imploding, we didn't recover. I know. What happened was Wall Street went back out to play, and we called that a recovery. Well, yeah, but you've got to remember that back in 2000, the Census Bureau said there were 30 million Americans who were living in poverty, and recently they figured it's 50 million, with another 51 million trembling on the brink. And, while all that's going on, the super rich have somewhere near $180 trillion tucked away in offshore tax shelters. Yeah, but, all of us poor people, because of that, all of us poor people have the opportunity to become rich. And that's what America is all about, right? Isn't that what we've heard over and over? Well, we've heard that, but we've heard a bunch of lies along with it. Like anybody could, et cetera, et cetera. Sure, if your daddy's rich, I know poor people who bought this. They've been programmed. They say, well, I don't really want socialism because, I always want the opportunity to become rich. And even if I don't become rich, my kids will become rich, Boy, are they living in a fantasy world. They've been well trained. Well, yeah, and Mickey Mouse should be president. And maybe that would be true if the game wasn't rigged. Well, yeah. But Mickey wouldn't have to worry about assassination. I should let you go, Dante. Okay, you probably have other people. I'll finish up a couple more points on this, just to bring people up. And then I'm going to actually probably get a call from Lorna over there at GE Free, and then I'm going to talk about our local media and lack of it.
Uh-huh.
You
Good
know,
idea.
and,
I'll leave you to that. Carry on, my dear.
All right. Let's hit this so where it doesn't make noises at me. All right. I think I got it just in time. Anyway, and like I say, I'm not going to beat the transit thing to death. I'm just going to cover a couple things. If nobody wants to talk about it, then I'm going to move on. All right. We have the at the last transit authority meeting, somebody basically excused the fact that it was a lousy contract by saying, hey, we only had 3 companies that wanted to come in here and take it over. Well, for Lake County, for a major operation, 3 is not that bad. We've seen major projects and major bids go out where we only had 1 or 2 proposals come back. 3 is not that bad. We weren't that desperate. We didn't have to give away the farm. We just did. Anyway, the big problem, and something I'm interested in because I have a background in economics, is I would like to deal with this big discrepancy between what the unions say their step increase resumption would cost and what paratransit says it would cost. It's like over a 400% difference. And they say they used only the best numbers. Well, somebody's lying. Or maybe it's a combination of lying and incompetence on both sides. I don't know. But I do know this. The numbers are the numbers. And if the numbers were public, we wouldn't have to rely on what paratransit says or what the union says. We could crunch our own numbers. There's plenty of competent people out there, backgrounds in economics, CPAs. We can just crunch the numbers ourselves. We won't have to trust anybody. You know, we will gain knowledge by our own efforts. But where do we get these numbers? I don't know. I'd like to find out, and that's what I'm going to be focused on. There's other issues, but that's what I want to focus on. Because once those accurate numbers are crunched, we will know who's lying. And yeah, I guess it could be. There's enough wiggle room that it could be 2 people. Anyway, and so we have phase 2 coming up. Well, when they're going to finish the reestablishment of service, and these drivers coming on will be all the original from the original driver list. They'll fill up the slots, and what's left on the list is what got replaced. And so September 1st we'll know the total damage toll from this highly skilled, highly aggressive and creative organization. Anti-labor practices. I won't say it's union busting, it amounts to that, but it really comes down to anti-labor and anti-people, and since the community is dependent on better wages, it's anti-community too, because many of these drivers, because they had some seniority, are replaced with beginning drivers, so they're paid less, which means less money going into the community. A fact that might be lost on the transit authority. Okay, I covered that. I don't know if I'll beat their creative, some of the creative math I've seen before. Paratransit's assertion that 2 out of 39 is less than 1%. Back when I was in 6th grade, it was closer to 5%. But, you know, what do I know? And let me see, 2 at large. The Lake Transit Authority, for anybody who's interested, is 2 from Lakeport City Council, 2 from the Board of Supervisors, 2 from the City of Clearlake City Council, and 2 at large. Now, what's very interesting is one of the 2 from Lakeport, one of the 2 supervisors, and one of the 2 City of Clearlake reps are up for election next year. those are the three I'm going to be focused on in addition to the one at-large person who made explicitly anti-union statements, which might be okay if the other at-large person was an explicitly pro-union person, but I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. Quick mention. Lakeville News quoted Paratransit in an aside saying, well, we have a couple special cases that we have to deal with, so we have to be careful on that. I'm one of those two special cases, by the way. It's nice to know somebody could cause somebody to be careful in this whole sorry episode. Relate this new sales tax. I would say, since we do have a phone line. I was just about ready to abandon the whole topic. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Dante, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Do you know the proper name for a square-sided, square-bottom shovel specifically made for turning over dirt?
I just called it...
Starts with an S.
Oh. Is it something you could say on the radio?
Ends with an E. Yes, you can say it on the radio.
I can't remember right now.
Also, one of the members of a deck of cards.
One of the like a jack? No.
No.
No, it ends with an E, starts with an F, and it's a member of a deck of cards?
Yeah, it's not a diamond, it's not a heart.
Not a club, not a diamond, not a heart. That would leave a spade.
Okay, so you do know the word.
Yes.
So, presumably then, because you know the word, you might be able to call a spade a spade. It's union busting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Thanks, goodbye.
But it's also anti-labor. You see, I'm the original union. I'm the original union buster. I believe that the best way to bust a union and keep the unions out is to pay decent wages and treat people with respect. That's the most low-down union busting trick I know of.
Yep, that'll work most of the time.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a lot of interest in that foolproof method. Not around here.
And quite frankly, the Teamsters didn't do themselves any favors in asking the Metropolitan Transit Authority to get involved here, seeing as most of the folks on it are pretty anti-labor.
Yeah, and they made a lot of. I would say what caused me to cringe a lot is they were using old techniques that worked pretty well up until about 20 years ago.
No, they still work very well. They're not legal, but they work really well. But we don't worry about legalities around here.
Yeah, unless the other side is doing them.
Well, no, you have to understand that the people on the management side of the labor management relations are trained to ignore the law, because the law is written in favor of the populace, not in favor of the businesses.
Well, I recognized the scripts I got when I was going, face-to-face with Randy and over the phone with Wanda. You can ignore the law in areas where there's no legal ramifications. Some laws you can ignore because there's no legal ramification. So it's like there was no law at all. And apparently they've been well schooled in what things they could do without having any legal repercussions. They're very good. I recognize somebody who's been programmed. They're very good.
Well, you have to understand that the only time that there are legal ramifications is if somebody has the ability to bring the authority of the law to bear. And the authority of the law does not come to bear on its own. It requires being beckoned. and the beckoning is what costs money. Well, let me give you an analogy. If I have a problem with the county, okay, and I assert that the county has violated a law, I can file a claim against the county. The claim will be denied. That's done perfunctory. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Now I get to hire an attorney to sue the county. Well, who defends the county?
Well, for routine things, it's the county council. If it's scary...
And who pays... But stop right there. Who pays the county council? I do. So, you see, the deck is stacked against you from the get-go if you're an individual or if you're the community. The government taxes the community to fight against the community. We pay the opposition. Plain and simple.
Well,
so, in order to win, you have to have double the money. And it's pretty hard to have double the money of somebody that has a checkbook that you're filling.
Or find a way to catch them napping, but that's another show.
There you go. See you, bye.
Bye. All right, now we have another call. All right. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah. So you were mentioning you were with the union, or were you a union rep, or?
No, I was a brand new employee. I hadn't.
Oh, just an employee.
Yeah.
With what union?
I wasn't with any union. I hadn't joined the union yet. I had not joined the union.
Oh, you didn't join the union?
No, and they basically said, well, you have to, because they could fire you for any reason during the first 90 days when you're
right. Well, that's
hired.
just any job. I mean, they basically. Yeah. Actually, nowadays they don't like hiring people. They do go through agencies, so they don't have to pay workman's comp, and the agency pays you. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes it. Most jobs are farmed out through agencies now. That's a common practice nowadays because everybody's getting away from that workman's comp. Either that, or they got employers that are having people 1099, which that means they work for themselves and they pay them cash, and then they're responsible for their own taxes. That way, they're exempt from paying workman's comp. That's what a lot of people do too with money. You know what I'm saying? If you got money, you just pay a person and you just tell them, hey, I'm going to pay you cash, and they act like you're going to make more money, but you don't because you got to pay taxes on that. See, the problem, and you have no benefits with that. See, so that's a problem. No, like Walmart does not want to pay no benefits. They don't want to pay no workman's comp. They don't want to pay no medical or anything like that. See, that's what they get away with. All these corporations basically, they want employees to work for them, but they don't want to give them nothing. You know what I'm saying? Basically, a rich man doesn't want to have a guy working for him, but as far as he doesn't want to pay for his medical or his if it doesn't happen to him, he's on his own. In other words, he's not responsible for him. That's basically what's wrong with this world. Everybody wants everybody to do something, but they don't want to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? That's what's wrong with everything. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants everybody to do something, but they don't want to take care of them if they get hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they want you to take the extra.
They want you to get your own insurance and take care of yourself. In other words, you got to get that care and your medical on your own. In other words, you're on your own, pal. In other words, you work for me and you take care of your own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we had a optional medical plan over there at the bus company.
Right.
And the thing is that if you paid for yourself and your wife, that would take up pretty much the whole check.
Right, and then you're left with nothing. How are you going to live? And how are you going to have groceries? How are you going to pay your rent? And how are you going to pay your PG&E or your water bill? You know what I mean?
Well, that's their math. That's their math, and it's not our math.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's wrong with everything. It's just the numbers don't add up, like you say. They don't jive. You know what I mean?
You got to prepare before the fight. Because they're
now,
preparing.
You always want to put the cart in front of the horse, and you're always pushing that damn cart because you're not in front of it. You know what I'm saying? You're always behind the 8 ball all the time. You know what I mean? So
yep.
So anyway, good stuff. Educate them out there. You know what I'm saying? People need to wake up. You know what I'm saying?
I'll do my best.
All right. Bye.
Talk to you later. Another call. Go ahead, caller.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
I was just wanted to put my 2 cents in about city council meeting.
City council meeting? Oh,
yeah.
That was of Clearlake last Thursday?
Yeah.
I missed it because, I've been working on so many things that are actually far more important than that white trash melodrama that goes on down there?
Yeah, well, Jerri is just, to me, a wonderful human. She does a lot for our community. She goes above and beyond. And I live in Lower Lake, actually, but I was there to support her. But I just wanted to put it out there that it was almost laughable. The three things that all those members, Joey Lewis, Luis, and Joyce Overton, Denise, every one of them, their three complaints about Jerri, Madam Mayor, was that she came in on a Saturday. There was a room that was used as storage and ladders and so forth. They didn't have a break room. So she decided to come in, Jerri come in on a Saturday with her husband, paid for paint, painted this room, cleaned the tables, cleaned the refrigerator out, and washed the chairs so they'd have a break room. So, and she planted flowers in a flower box up in the front of City Council, and she would water them once a week. And she also put a plaque in the hall of our servicemen that are serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. So every one of them, Joyce Overton, I'm sorry, she was like a shrugged up prune. One thing you could see was jealousy coming out of every one of those council members, because as that's all they had, and they all sounded like they were first or second graders. By Jerri and her husband cleaning the room up and painting it and making a break room, they said that it hurt their feelings.
Well, a lot of people say, there's other issues, and they're just not bringing them up.
No, they're not. But if you would have saw what I saw, it was just like there were a bunch. She did it on her own time. Yeah, and she did it on her own time, But I'm sure there are other issues. But the way that they conducted themselves, Joey was talking about Frank Rivero and the fact that she didn't recall that they wanted to join the BOS for the recall. It's pure corruption. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there. It was embarrassing. If I were those council members, I'd be embarrassed. And I hope one of them is listening tonight, because they acted like first graders. They all whined like little children that their feelings were hurt. And every one of us sitting out there came to the conclusion, we're going, oh my God, they're jealous of this woman.
Well, I've seen them come to conclusions on things without any information many, many, many times.
Really?
That's just Clearlake City Council. It's not embarrassing. It's Jerry Springer on the lake.
Yeah, it is. It's a joke. You're absolutely right. It's a joke.
Okay, let me get this other call.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, and that was. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yes. I just wanted to interject here with the mayor. I mean, she is a tweaker, and she cannot be, taking care of things that concern, the whole city and so on. So, it's a good thing that Denise and whoever took whatever is necessary steps in order to.
She is a tweaker, or used to be a tweaker?
She is.
Well, usually I see the tweakers are kind of like squirming all the time and scratching and kind of have that mouth thing going, where they've constantly got their their lips moving. I don't really see.
I don't know what it is, but she could be one person in one moment, and then when she tweaks, she will be all over the place. So I think that's what happened there with the council, and then they wasn't able to deal with it, and that's basically what it is.
Well, I've seen a lot of dysfunction, and I don't know if I can blame everything on drugs.
Well,
I mean, some of it might. Yeah.
At some point, a caller suggested, drug testing, and then it didn't happen. But I mean, if it happens in any kind of environment, in every kind of corporation or company, why can that happen?
Or we can make it like a fundraiser. Like you have people sign up to be sponsors for people to go on walks. Why not have a thing where you get people to sign up as sponsors to have you take a drug test? We'll just, get a little, fundraising going out of it.
Exactly.
Make it a fun thing as opposed to kind of a, police state thing,
But, well, I don't think police state, but the bottom line is that this Jerri person is a big-time tweaker. And thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. And that's one opinion. Actually, I have some other. I have some of my own opinions. But actually, they're even less complimentary. All right. Somebody gave up. But we're still here. And anyway, I was expecting GE Free to report in from a Taste of Lakeport. Haven't got them yet. Anyway, I'd like to. I think I've pretty much finished with that transit strike thing, unless somebody wants to talk about it. I kind of know a little bit about it since I'm kind of at round zero. Let me get this call. They're back. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. No, you're not.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again.
All right. That's what happens when you get calls coming in on two lines. All right. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, it's still me.
Okay.
I don't live in Clearlake, but to me, I think it's a travesty that she got ousted, especially on something as BS as that. But anyway, she was in there. She had a different agenda than normal mayors that come in. That I regret to call it a city. And she was doing okay. She had different ideas, but does the county really want to stick with the same ideas that as a whole?
Are you talking about county or the city now?
I'm talking about both.
Oh, okay.
As a city, as a county, do we really want to stick with the same stuff that we've been doing for decades now, or do we want to try something new where we can actually get a job in here, or actually make that hate to say it, city look a little better than it does, so maybe somebody wants to put a business in one of those empty buildings?
Well, they believe that the way to the future is to go back to the 50s. And what they don't seem to realize is our economy has shrunk. We have to do things radically different. And doing things radically different is not something I see any interest in.
Well, I liked what she was doing. At least she was trying something different and had a different approach. It's the same old thing has not been working, obviously. That used to be a nice place prior to 1980 when they incorporated. The county took care of the streets, and and it was more of a resort community still. I've been up here since the early 60s. Yeah, it was, and it was still a nice place. It has done a crash dive since they incorporated in 1980. The whole thing is a mockery. The police force was full of highway patrol and sheriff rejects for a long time. And I mean, they need to do something different, because what they've been trying prior to this lady has not worked.
Well, I had my own idea, and old Sergeant Brady kind of liked my idea, and I told him that it's like 63% plus an independent sales tax goes to fund the police. Clearlake is basically a police department. And if that's all you wanted, you don't need to incorporate to have a police department. You could form a special assessment district like they did in the unincorporated area of Broadmoor in San Mateo, and you could have your own police department if you don't want a whole city based on an assessment district. And that's what they've done in Broadmoor.
Well, that's what, years ago, that's what they did in Clearlake. They let all these mobile homes because they needed the tax base. They got the bigger city But look what they got. You know, they weren't allowing these mobile homes in there for permanent live-in. It was recreational, and then they keep changing the zoning ordinances all over the place. Next thing you know, you got people living in stuff that was only meant to be a summer home, a weekend getaway.
Well,
they've done nothing about it.
Well, I
told you, I've been here a long time.
But there was like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And the fact is, people changed their recreation habits, and people screamed and says, look, people aren't coming up here anymore the way they used to. We got to get some money. Let's just turn our eyes here. And
well, they turned Clearlake into White Trashville, and they have done nothing about the lake. The lake is, in the last 10 years, is beyond belief.
Part of it might be the climate change. Part of it.
You know what? You trace it back to the vineyards going in.
Yeah, nutrients in general, the vineyards, oversaturated septic tanks, and then there's all the minerals from all this grading instead of...
Septic tanks are right up there on the chart.
So it's...
decades and decades of septic tanks, just because you put in a sewer line doesn't take that out of the ground. It's still reaching down.
Yeah, and they basically stopped enforcing the mandatory hookup if there's a... For new developments, if there's a sewer in your street, they basically eliminated the mandatory hookup in Clearlake. Too many people had their agenda. Oh, there's our GE free reporter now.
Yeah. Well, they've just trashed, all the nice resorts that there actually was on Old 53 down there in Clearlake.
Yeah. Well, you know
that they're low-income housing now, full of gang members.
Yeah.
And the harbors and the launching ramps are blocked off.
Yeah, and there's I actually spend a lot of, I actually love talking about sewers, and it's like the way they laid this place out in their postage stamped lots that had no consideration for the layout of the terrain. Clearlake was definitely one of the top 3 poster children for the State Map Act. And
you talking about the lake or the city?
The city.
Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely.
I just didn't call it the Highlands.
Yeah, it used to be called the Highlands.
Yeah.
It was just a big patchwork design that just ignored the fact that there's up and down hills, and that's why we have a State Map Act now to eliminate that type of haphazard development that just creates blight right from the beginning before the development.
Somebody ought to take a drive up in the Clear Lake, up behind Napa Auto Parts in that area up there, over toward between Old 53, Napa Auto Parts, and over to Olympic Drive. That is the biggest fire hazard I've ever seen in such a small area. And it looks like a slum. I haven't been in there in years, and I took a drive through there the other day. It looks like a slum. You talk about fire hazard. Oh,
you're talking about West 40th Valley, going around there, and Hillcrest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
up where it gets up high, and then down to Ewell and all that stuff.
I think it's a charming road. The way it goes around that mountain there. It goes around West 40th, and it goes around up over Hillcrest, and then around Valley.
It was a charming road at one time with the rock walls and stuff like that. Now it's a slum, and it's a fire trap.
Well, one good fire will eliminate that.
Take a drive through there. I think
I've done more than take a drive through. I've actually mapped it out for a foot race.
Oof! Wow.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting. It's mostly patchworked potholes on patchwork potholes, but
a minefield. Yeah.
but
it
does have a certain charm as long as you're
beautiful street, and in the 60s and 70s it still was. Still was.
Sometimes all it takes is the right people to just come in and say, we're just going to act like decent people who have a lot of interesting things to do, and everything will be better just because we're better people.
There's still some really good people that live in there. I know some people that live there. Yeah. But then you have an absolute burning hole in the ground, for lack of a better word, right next door, and they have so much stuff, they're piling it on top of each other, and lo and behold, it's wood and plastic stacked up in dry grass.
Oh.
and it goes all the way to the house.
Well, we do have a pretty good fire department.
It's lot after lot after lot.
Probably the reason we have a good fire department because it's a special assessment district and not part of the city.
I know some of them guys too, and I hope they're good at their job.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll get off the line, let somebody else call. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let's get this last call. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy was talking about all that trash, but really the roads are lo and behold, these roads were made for horse and buggy. It is not made for the traffic they have nowadays. That's the biggest problem with up here is the roads aren't even big enough for the traffic right now, and it's like, you know, accidents all the time. There's always accidents up here. It's like, you know, Russian roulette up here with these people that don't know how to drive, and they don't know how to drive on these roads because these roads aren't even made for with these buses and everything else they got going on, the school buses and everything else. I mean, it's there's no sidewalks for the people to walk, and they get people in wheelchairs and walking and everything else, you know, man. So it's you're taking a risk of running somebody over when you're on the road. You got to be real careful when you're driving down the road here in Clearlake. You know,
that was the old development standards. Remember that Groucho Marx movie, Coconut Grove, about this land developer shyster? And
well, you know, a lot of it, pretty soon they're going to start doing that intimate domain, and they're going to start making these roads wider, and pretty soon people are going to realize that they're going to lose their property and probably lose their house because they're going to have to make the roads wide enough for trucks and for paramedics and emergency vehicles. And when that happens, you know, when the state of California comes in here and takes over this place, that's when that's when you're going to see things disappear, like these trailers and everything else, and it's going to be intimate domain, and they're going to clean house, and a lot of people are going to be chased out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Only if
you either fence the place in, no one in, no one out, and that's probably the best thing to do.
Well, only if they have a big checkbook. Only if they have a big checkbook, because
Donald Trump needs to come in here and build a big casino. You know what I'm saying? Blow it all out. A golf course, you know what I'm saying?
The casinos will save us.
Yeah. Let Reno and Las Vegas come in here and blow it all out. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to before. You know. This place could have been a nice place.
That's when people will start getting run over, is when they get the streets all paved and wide, and then the trucks are going through there, you know, at 45 miles an hour.
There's a lot of crosswalks up here that you can't see no more because they don't stripe them, they don't paint them, and a lot of people been hitting those crosswalks. You can't walk across the street without getting hit nowadays. You got to cross.
Right, but people aren't speeding because of the speed bumps, potholes. I mean, the speed bumps.
Right. They're avoiding. They're looking for the potholes. They're looking for people. Yeah. Well, anyway, good stuff. Anyway.
Okay, caller.
Good show. All right. Bye.
All right. Point. All right. Go ahead, Lorna.
All right.
What have you got to report?
Yeah. I've been out on the street. We can hear Herb Gura and the rest of Without a Net out there playing. I'm in Lakeport. Taste of Lakeport. It's a big fundraiser for the Main Street Association, and I am dipping gazpacho for GE Free Lake County. That's gefreelake.org. And we're passing out some literature. Some people are more interested in the gazpacho, but we've had some people very interested in
That's cold potato soup,
No, it's cold tomato soup.
Tomatoes. Some say tomato, some say potato. You know.
Yeah. That's a new twist, but yeah, everybody's loving the gazpacho. It's made from produce, all fresh, all raw, blended up. We've got tomatoes and cucumbers and parsley and basil, peppers. So it's wonderful stuff, and we're promoting GE Free Lake County. Pretty soon we're going to be all under an umbrella where donations will be tax-free. So we're continuing to be busy here in Lake County, promoting no GE foods, trying to get people to shop and avoid genetically engineered foods when they garden, to avoid the genetically engineered as well.
Do people actually know what that term even means, genetically engineered?
Oh, that's when they do things in a laboratory that couldn't possibly be done out in the field. I had or at your kitchen table, I had a lady ask me, she says, well, her father, lady was probably several years older than I am, and she said her father had taught her how to graft, and she loved to graft, and she was getting really concerned because she thought that maybe she was making genetically engineered foods by grafting. I said, no, if you didn't have to put on gloves and a mask and suit up and go into a sterile laboratory or a not-so-sterile laboratory, you probably aren't making GE foods in your living room or in your garden. These are things, ungodly things that they do to make the genetically engineered foods.
Ungodly. So these are completely atheist type of activities.
Yeah, well, they make the atheists look like the good guys, which...
Anyway, so
yeah, it's inserting genes from one species into another species. It's very different than hybridizing or, like I was saying, grafting or... you know, playing around, moving pollen from one plant to another. It's a lot deeper. It's done on a cellular level.
Now, I seem to remember on very, very rare occasions, sometimes viruses will pick up a chunk of a gene from one species and stick it on to another.
Right. They use the E. coli and other viruses to move the genes, like from a fish.
Yeah.
Into a tomato.
Yeah, of course, that's a bacteria, Escherichia coli.
Ah. Yeah. I think they use viruses as well. I wouldn't, I'm not a scientist, but...
But I play one on...
on Herb's radio show.
On 88.1.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Herb's down there barefoot and rocking. People are dancing in the street.
Is he playing drums or is he playing
he's
guitar?
Playing, well, from what I can see at my post down to his post, he's playing drums and singing, of course.
He's probably having more fun than doing his radio show.
Yeah. The air is nice and fresh out there. It's a beautiful evening.
All right. Okay, I'm just kind of like halfway looking at my my phones there. I got a CD stuck in one of these things. I'll deal with that later. Anyway, I had finished up with the transit thing, and people wanted to get into the politics of Clearlake, but and I guess that's over with. And but you know, I was interested in talking about the fact that we have so little critical local media. You know, media that actually ask questions instead of just taking, you know, reports from the people who have power and just kind of dummy up some kind of article from those reports. We don't have very much in the way of independent writers, I should say, editorialists. Even.
Well, even the blogs. There's bloggers around.
Well, that's
I don't
what I'm trying
follow.
to find out because you know, we've got KPFZ. They have like 3 or 4 programmers that deal with issues, and we've got you know, we've got Lakeko News, but that's just one of not Lakeko News so much. She's kind of a report taking type of person, but Lakeko Magazine. But she's got other activities.
The Outlook.
Yeah, in the Outlook, but that's a once-a-month thing.
It's
you know,
once a month, and she's always. When I heard her speak on KPFZ a few months ago, she said she's always looking for local content. That she's interested, just you know, doesn't have the knowledge to sit there and do the writing about it. So, but she said she's always wanting local content. Oh, while I've got folks on the radio. It's also a GE-free Lake County project, and I'm trying to amass some poetry and music on different themes, anything about healthy eating or gardening, sovereignty, food sovereignty, local sustainability kind of issues. So if anybody has, they can email me, and this is Lorna, and you can email me at poetryshared, POETRYSHARED, poetryshared@yahoo.com, or find my Facebook page and message me on Facebook. And I've already gotten some wonderful contributions. I've got a catalog of poetry, but looking for more. I've got a couple of wonderful songs and people that are more than willing to write just for this project. So if you have something to add, please email me or message me on Facebook.
And now that's going to be given out as a premium for donations,
Well,
right?
we'll see when it gets done.
see who has to be cut in. Yeah, there's always somebody who has to be cut in.
The GE Free Lake County has recently been, or I'm pretty sure it's a done deal, that we're going to be umbrellaed by the Cloud Forest Institute out of Ukiah and Philo, and that'll mean that any donations would be tax deductible, so we can keep doing things like handing out our flyers at events, the GE Free shopping guides, and just having these wonderful opportunities to answer people's questions and to see where people stand on things.
You mean as far as, I'm against that GMO stuff, or
yeah,
I'm all in favor of GMO. I don't even know what it means that I'm in favor. Just because you're against it, I'm in favor of it.
Well, one of the big issues is them growing it in the county, because once the genetically modified seed comes into the county for alfalfa or corn, that can get into the organic is really an excellent way for farmers to seriously have a healthy farm, be taking care of the earth, and bringing healthy foods and making good money, because the GE or the organic produce is has a real premium. So the prices are coming down, but it's still a wonderful way. And if Lake County could just not have any genetically engineered foods being grown within the county, that would make our all of our agricultural goods more valuable and healthier.
You mean they could, because the county would have sort of like a no GMO stamp on it?
Oh, that would be so beautiful. Down in Sonoma County, they grow mustard between the rows of grapevines as a cover crop to return the nitrogen into the soil. But if they're growing genetically engineered, is it the alfalfa or the corn? One of them will cross in with the mustard, the wild mustard, and I think it's the corn, and then the wild mustard starts producing the Bt toxins.
The perversions, mustard line with corn. It's Sodom and Gomorrah all over again.
The bees are not having any fun.
Yeah, I think that's important if you want to draw people here to actually eat stuff here in Lake County and have Lake County labels on it. But if you're just growing stuff just to go into the general American market, if you just have that type of short-sightedness, probably doesn't have any added value.
Well, we don't have huge, farmlands. We have little bits and pieces here and there. So we're not commercial growers except for the pears and the walnuts. But we're not going to be commercially growing wheat or beans or anything like that, corn, alfalfa, basically growing for use within the county. So you're keeping your animals free, you're keeping your family or healthy, keeping the animals healthy, keeping the waters healthy, keeping the land healthy. So
all right, we're just about out of time. One quick question. How are they treating you down there at the Taste of Lakeport? Are they the GE Free people? Are they like looking at you like you smell bad or something?
No, nobody has. We haven't heard one negative word about the GE.
Well, that's good.
Free. A lot of positive stuff. The young families are interested and knowledgeable. So, kind of doing a little preaching to the choir on with some of the people. Other people are are learning. So we're doing some real education as well. Kind of a mixed bag.
All right. I see Flipper sort of like milling around. He should be already in here. I don't know why he isn't. Anyway, I'm going to go out with a little song, something that's my homeland song. Yes, this is a song